Hi viewers, this is Geek Gardener. I am right now in Hyperfarms Experience Center in Yelahanka, Bangalore. We created this facility for all the budding hydroponic enthusiasts and gardeners who want to learn the art and science of hydroponics without having to really try it themselves. So we created this experience center back in 2019 to kind of give a glimpse of all the type of systems involved, various models of systems, various different plants that can be grown in hydroponics, so that one can come here experienced. So all this they get to witness during our one whole day practical and classroom session that we conduct very frequently on the topic of hydroponics, soilless agriculture courses. We conduct these training programs every month on topics related to hydroponics and soilless agriculture. So this video I'm going to be presenting to you today is a continuation of the basic series that we started about a couple of videos back. And I started with the very basic definition of what is hydroponics, and that would not be complete if I don't say why you should use hydroponics. So the question arises from what is the benefit of hydroponics, or what is the advantages of using hydroponics. From that to, should I be using hydroponics for such a situation or not? So if you understand this concept very well, you can clearly say when you should employ this technique and when you should not employ this technique. So let's understand why we should use hydroponics. This is not going to be a two-line sentence where this is why you should do hydroponics. There are amazing use cases for hydroponics. So you stay along with me, and then I'll help you understand all these concepts. The first and the foremost reason why hydroponics is extremely useful and you should definitely try it is, it can be used for growing plants anywhere, practically anywhere. Imagine this, I am in the heart of the city in Bangalore. The facility in which we are standing, there is no permanent water source. We depend on water outside. So we depend on the municipal water and we grow plants in that. So here I have a 600 plant system right next to me. So there are 40 feet by 6 feet, 240 square feet. We have 600 growing plants. And what are we growing right now? I have lettuce in it. And it uses 100 ml of water per day, or sometimes lesser than that. And this is an amazing way for us to grow here without having to irrigate the whole land, dig the soil, etc. So hydroponics really comes useful in places where the resources are just not available. For example, what is not available here? I don't have good soil available because this is city or cultivable lands converted into city. So there's always some stones in the soil, or sometimes the soil is just not suitable at all. So what we do, we create systems like this so that we can reclaim the agricultural land that we used. So the idea of hydroponics is try and grow plants where you cannot grow it otherwise. So we had water shortage here and there is no cultivable land. So, but we could create such a growing facility here because of the fact that hydroponics gives you the ability to completely create a system or an environment suitable for growing plants where there is no actual availability of it. So we were not having soil, not having water, it works. So the next situation where hydroponics is very useful is this I can produce continuously. For example, if I were to use soil, 2 or 3 crops I will do, after which the soil's nutrition content deteriorates. And because of that, I will be forced to not continuously exploit the soil. I will have to rejuvenate the soil and apply multiple different procedures to use the soil in a better way. For example, one of them would be crop rotation. The other one would be to rejuvenate the soil with some other crops. So what we would do is, we do employ crop rotation, but in hydroponics, you don't have to do that. You can continuously do the same crop over and over again. Why this is helpful? When you're a farmer, you need to find the crop that fetches you more revenue. Farmers are always behind one goal: find the best crop, find the best buyer. Best crop comes from any crop where you can sell and make good revenue out of it. Best buyer comes from the fact where you can supply some vegetable to them continuously year round without having to have a lot of crop fluctuation or price fluctuation. So if you look at both, you can supply year round vegetables with systems that are not dependent on soil. The other one is you can grow consistent quality because the soil is not going to be deteriorating, because we just don't have soil. We only give what the plants want, when they want, and how much they want. So these two are two of the primary reasons why hydroponics is extremely useful. The first one is where there is no availability of basic requirements for a plants to grow, you can employ hydroponics. And second one is you can produce continuously so that you can supply to the buyer year round. And the other thing is you don't have to really worry about changing your crop just to satisfy the soil health. You can just grow anything over and over again if that crop or variety fetches you good margin. Now some of you may ask, how does it save water? The plants, they need some water. It is the same plant that we were growing in soil, we moved to these kind of systems. So where does the water saving happen? I'm going to tell you why. In soil, when we water the plants, we are not actually watering the plants, we are watering the soil. And soil acts as a bank and gives it to the plants when it wants, as long as soil has the water. But what happens? There is sunlight, there is temperature, due to which the plants take some water continuously, the water keeps evaporating from the soil. So the plants also lose water, soil also loses water. At some point, the soil gets dry, not because it gave the water to the plant, but it evaporated all the water on it from within. So in hydroponics, we completely avoid soil, thereby removing all the water that is being supplied to the soil. We directly give it to the roots of the plants. I'll repeat, there is only plants consuming water, and all the water that is being consumed or through plants. Okay, so I'm going to show you a small example here, just walk along with me. So this is how the water is being fed into this system. This is an NFT system. I'm going to be covering in a lot more detail in the coming videos. You can see this is the water flow. And this is being fed into one side of the channel, and it goes till that end, 40 feet across, and then it gets collected back and comes back into the reservoir. If you see, if the water has to evaporate, it has to be going through these leaves only. There is no other place water is exposed to the air. So that way we are not losing any water other than plants consumption, and that's how we save water. Now in that, some of you may ask, hey, is it the same case across all systems? Absolutely not. So don't think hydroponics is going to save water regardless of the plants you grow. Like I said in some of my previous videos, we grow leafy greens in hydroculture where you use only water. But there are plants where we use coconut coir or cocoa peat for substrate culture. In substrate, it is an alternative to soil. So if soil is going to evaporate, substrate also will evaporate. So in that case, how do we save water? By covering the substrate with a polythene sheet or something like that, we stop the evaporation from being happening. So that is why you see a lot of grow bags or even buckets with lids, so that the evaporation from the surface of soil can be avoided. Also, here we have a recirculation system. So the water goes and comes back. In some of the substrate system, we don't do that. We give the water to the plants using a drip irrigation system, and then after the drip, we don't collect it back. We can if we want to, but if we don't collect it back, in most cases, the water that is collected back can be reused after some processing, of course, disinfection and revitalization of it, or you can drip to waste. In case of drip to waste, you don't get a lot of advantages of water saving. If you recycle it, you do enjoy the low consumption of water. So I hope this video made it very clear for you on how hydroponics saves water. So we were talking about the benefits of using hydroponics as a technique for growing plants, and that topic won't be complete if I don't talk about the completeness of the nutrition that these plants that we grow from hydroponics have. Because the whole idea of growing plants for consumption is that we get all the nutrients that we require. If we want all that we require, we need to give the plants all that they require. In hydroponics, we exactly measure what plants need and how much they need. When we give that, the plants grow to their fullest capacity. How do we know if plants are grown fullest capacity? You will see the greens, the leaves of the green are fully green, no blemishes, no yellow spots, no dry spots. There is no chlorosis, no necrosis. These are all terms that indicate a lack of chlorophyll or lack of life in the tissues of the plant. And plants are growing healthy. Same way, if you are buying tomatoes or any other fruit for that matter, They will be uniformly red and not patches of yellow or patches of dry tissues. All these are some form of deficiency of nutrients that were not in the soil. So with hydroponics in place, you tend to give all the right nutrients that are needed for the plants for that stage of the plant, and the right ratio in which the plants need. Plants may not take up the same amount of nitrogen and potassium for that example. They may take more nitrogen for leafy greens, or they may take more potassium for crops such as tomato, etc. Our goal is to give the right amount of nutrition so that you as a consumer get the right amount of nutrition from the product we sell. How do we know healthy plants? So you can see this is a celery stalk about 50 days from day of planting. You can see this is healthy. There is no deficiency, there is no problem in the plant. So all these plants will start looking good, and then they also taste good, and that is the fundamental criteria for buying vegetables for our health. Consume vegetables that are fully nutritious, and this is another reason why hydroponics. So I've been talking about hydroponic produce, and we said there is no soil in it. I'll tell you what is also not there in it: weeds. So when you buy a bunch of palak or bunch of any greens for that matter from the store, the first thing we do is cut 20 to 25% of it because they are roots. You don't want to eat roots. And then some more for removing the soil and stuff out of it. And then you realize there is 10% of plants that you don't even know what it is. These are weeds, and weeds are problematic for multiple reasons. One, you don't want to consume them. So there is a bit of effort in removing it. And also in a conventional farm, weeds consume most of the labor time, and also they consume most of the water that you feed the plants with, also the fertilizers. So they affect the production in multiple areas of the life cycle of the crop. So when we do it in hydroponics, because there is no soil, there are no occurrences of weed seeds in the soil that can germinate and take over the existing crop. There is no weed, and plants grown in hydroponics are less messy because there is no access to soil or anything that is going to involve additional cleaning. So there also we save a lot of water as well as time and effort. So I'm going to show you a couple of plants. So I have a bunch of spinach growing with me here. You can see there is roots here, again clean with no soil. And this is the cotyledon. This is the cotyledon part of the spinach. And this is the lowest leaf from a plant's perspective. This is the lowest leaf. And till then you can cut. In fact, you can go 1 inch below and cut. 100% useful. So if you were to buy a 200 gram bunch of palak from the market, you will get to use probably 100 to 150 gram. If you get 200 grams of this, you get all 200 grams. So that is where the effectiveness of the production is very, very high, where if I produce 100%, you get to use at least more than 95%. But whereas in a conventional farm, a lot of it gets wasted along the supply chain, and once you receive it as a customer and then you chop it off. So that part is very, very useful in terms of why we switch to technology like this. This is why hydroponics. Another dangerous side effect that I would like to bring it to your attention is weeds are not only the main reason for labor and effort and time going into a farm, but they are also one of the main reasons why toxic chemicals are getting added to the production of the crop. For example, if some farmer who has limited access to labor work has a few acres of farm under production, and if there are a lot of weeds, it is not going to be possible for him to practically manually weed everything. So the easiest thing that they will do is get a weedicide or a herbicide and spray the entire land. And guess what that causes? Weedicide add a lot of carcinogenic compounds into the soil. So when we grow with these kind of techniques where weed is inherently not possible through the design and the way of growing, you remove a lot of things. You remove unnecessary effort, time, money put in it, and also unnecessary spraying of chemicals that are not needed at all. Last but not the least, during this whole presentation, you never saw me bending. So it is all available at the waist level. So the ease of access makes it so ergonomical for people who do farming. And that's one of the things that, whenever we visit a farm, a lot of workers want to work in farms like this, because hey, nobody wants to bend all day and have problems. It is so easy to access and so easy to plant as well. Though the pollock that I showed you for display is back on the system, waiting for another day to be harvested. So this technique is very clean, very easy to access, plant. So this is one of the reasons why we employ hydroponics day in, day out. So another important thing that I've been repeating to anybody who asks me why hydroponics is mainly because there is very, very little requirement for using any pesticide, even organic for that matter, because of the fact that we are elevated in most of the hydroponic systems that we are talking about, and also there is no soil in it. We are not inheriting any insect eggs, some larvae that are already present in soil, because of which our systems are clean to start with. So every crop is a first crop. Every crop is a clean crop. So since there is no soil, soil-borne pests are practically avoided. And because these are grown in systems that are discrete, they are not connected with each other except for this single channel. There is no connection between multiple channels here. So there is no crawling insect that goes from one plant to another through soil. So that is completely avoided. Because of the fact that soil-borne pests are avoided, we have a good 20 to 30 days time till which there is no other infection that are airborne, unless the area surrounding is completely infested. So by then we are even harvesting our first crop. So every 25 to 30 days one crop cycle is over. By the time the insect comes, completes its life cycle, our crop is over. So this way we can have multiple cycles of crop without having to really be infected by pests. This is one of the reasons why people prefer hydroponic produce, because there is no application of any pesticides, even organic pesticides for that matter. We will only go and start application of these pesticides if the surrounding is heavily infested or the systems are not clean. Because of the system, say for example, I have this channel here, and then the channel there are a lot of eggs, and then that comes into the plant, the next crop that you are planting. Other than that, I don't see why any pests would come through the soil, because we use nothing. And this is primarily the most important parameter which people use to decide to go with hydroponics as a growing system, and also consumers looking for hydroponic crops, because they are very clean in terms of the appearance as well as the content of the crop. Always remember, people taste with their eyes first. You don't go to a supermarket and look for most affected plant hoping it will taste better. It is not. People don't take plants that are not looking good. So the first thing is, to plant should look good and taste safe as well, which is another reason why hydroponics. There is another important advantage with hydroponics. Most of the growers prefer hydroponics because it also gives you an advantage in terms of speed of growth of the crops. Crops grown in hydroponics tend to grow faster and healthier. When I say faster, for example, if you were to have a crop which normally takes about 30 days, crops grown in hydroponics would take probably about 25 days or even a couple of days earlier. So you have a difference in close to a week in terms of leafy greens. We have observed in all our leafy greens, especially what takes 30 days, you get it ready in 25 days. So that gives you an extra time in a year to grow a couple of more crops. That way, if you look at an year's production, you get a little more than what you would otherwise get. So it directly increases the yield per unit time, and also crops grow a little faster because they have access to all the nutrients that they can get. This is one of the reasons where hydroponic really wins. Faster yields is definitely one of the best reasons why people prefer using hydroponics as their growing system. Another observation I've seen, generally there are a lot of claims about 10 times faster and etc. It's not 10 times faster. So, see, what we are dealing with plants, and these are living things. We cannot push a plant beyond its potential or genetic potential. Every plant or every crop has certain time before which it cannot yield. Green leafy plants are an exception because you can start harvesting very soon. You don't have to really harvest the plant. You can keep picking the leaves from the crop, and thereby your harvest starts earlier also. The same faster yield cannot be applied to all the plants. For example, let's take tomatoes. Most of the varieties take about 80 to 90 days to harvest. When I say harvest, you get a ripe fruit. That is a genetic characteristics. Some variety may yield early, some of them may take more time. By growing them in hydroponics, you may shorten it just by a week maximum. Beyond that, it is not possible. Hydroponics way of growing does not do magic. We are only going to give the plants what they need, and we are only allowing the plants to grow it into their fullest potential. And whatever the plants will do normally well, that is what you will get, nothing more. So this is very important for you to understand what is possible, what is not possible with hydroponics. One cannot say 10 times more yield. It really depends on the crop. There is a whole lot of context that has to be given. And that is why I'm not really giving any figures here, because it really depends on the crop. One cannot in general say, crops can be grown half the time and 10x more yield. At what crop, at what weather? So many ifs and buts to it. But yes, it does help you grow faster and it helps you grow better crop. So definitely this is a tool of choice when it comes to commercial production for these two reasons. And I guess with all these reasons, we have kind of completed the reasons that I know why hydroponics. There could be more. If you have found anything that I missed, please mention in the comments and I'll definitely include it in the next video. And if you have any questions or want me to add some topic to this, please suggest me. And I always ask, please don't forget to share this video with someone who is looking to learn hydroponics, and it will be helpful in getting them to understand the concept. Go ahead, share this with your friends, subscribe to this channel and have fun. Bye-bye.